Okay, this is my submission for coding problem set 4. So first we start by importing strings and initializing global variables. So we have import random and import string. Next we have our vowels variable, which stores the vowels A, E, I, O, U, our consonants, which stores consonants, and the hand size variable, which I've converted into to require a user input, so I could experiment with different hand sizes. Next, we have our Scrabble letter variables, which is the points. It's a dictionary that has key value terms of the points associated with each letter. So A is worth 1 point, B is worth 3, and so on. Next, we move on to problem number 1. So first we have to score the word, as it says here. If this function returns the score for a word, assuming that that word is a valid word. So we start by initializing our total score variable. Next, we iterate through every letter in the word, or iterate through the length of the word. So for every letter in word, that's how it's done. And in this for loop, we will calculate the sum for each letter, and that is done by this. Total score is equal to total score plus Scrabble letter variables, or Scrabble letter values, the dictionary above, with the associated letter. So if we were on A, then it would pull up the A's value and add it to the total score. After that, we multiply the length of the word. So total score equals total score times the length of the word. And we add 50 points if all letters are used on the first turn. So if the length of the word is equal to n, then total score, n is the stand-in for the hand size, and then the total score is equals total score plus 50, essentially, and then we return the total score. So next we have problem 2. Make sure you understand how this. Oh. So now we have our problem 2, updating a hand by hand, updating a hand by removing letters. So we need to update a hand in this function, assumes that the hand has all letters in the word. In other words, this assumes that however many times a letter appears in a word, the hand has at least as many that letters in it. So basically, to start off this, we have to make a copy of the hand so that we can mutate our copy, but the original remains the same. So updated hand equals copy, hand.copy. So next we need a for loop that iterates through every letter and word. So for each letter and word. Next, inside the for loop, we have an if statement that checks if the letter is in the updated hand, or checks if the letter is in the hand, specifically looking at the updated hand, which currently has a copy of the hand. So if letter in updated hand, then if this is true, then we remove the letter from the hand and we return the hand. So next is problem 3. We have to test the validity of the word. So we have, as it says in the function, returns true if the word is in the word list and is entirely composed of the letters in the hand. Otherwise, it returns false, and it does not mutate the hand or the word list. So we first have to create a copy of the hand to use in the code. So current hand equals hand copy. We create the copy and store it in current hand. Next, we initialize variables to track the validity of the word. These are the what's it called? The condition of these variables is essentially just assumed until it's proven otherwise. So valid is assumed to be false. In word list is assumed to be false, and letters in hand is assumed to be true. So next we check if the word is in the word list with this if statement, if word and word list. And if this is true, then in word list is true. Next, we iterate through each letter in L in the word. So for L in word, and inside this, we check if the current letter is in the hand and has a count greater than 0. So basically, we check if the word is both in the hand and hasn't been used yet, or has not been essentially depleted. So that means we do this because it could have duplicates like I and I. Using an I in a word, or guessing using I in a word would only need to subtract it once and we'd still have an I left over, essentially. Um, so basically, if current hand get, we use this to check if the letters in the word, and if this is true, then we de-increment the count of the letter in current head. So basically, we take that letter out of the hand. If this is not true, else, we set letters in hand to false. So because the above conditions are not met. And next we have an if statement that checks if the word is in the word list and all the letters are in the hand. Then valid is set to true. So then we return valid. So as you see here, the if statement says if the letters in hand true is true and the in word list is true, then valid is true. And then we return it. So problem number 4, we get to implement playing a hand. So as it returns here, or as the comments say here, parameters say here, the function, it returns the length, number of letters in the current hand. Right. Oh, first, for playing a hand, we need to build, for number 4, we need to build a helper value, which is calculate hand, which returns the length of the letters in hands. So we just do that by return sum and parentheses hand value. It's fairly simple. Next, we need to actually implement playing the hand for problem 4. So taking these parameters to program our function, we scroll down to here. This is commented out. Oh, play hand was commented out. So first we want to start by keeping track of the total score. So total score equals 0. As long as there are still letters left in the hand, we use the while loop to continuously iterate until there are no letters left in the hand. So inside the while loop, we start playing the hand by displaying the current hand. We do that with this. We do that with this print statement, and then display hand. And next, we ask for user input. So word equals input, enter word, or the dot to indicate that they're finished. And down here, we check if it's a dot, and we break the code if it is. If the user does not input, period, then we continue this else statement. We have an if statement that checks if the word is not valid, then we reject it. Oh, to check it, we use, of course, the function call is word valid. With the parameters word, hand, and word list. Next, if the word is valid, we continue on to this other else statement. It's basically in this statement, we tell the user how many points they've earned and update their total score. And to format it, we fill them in one line followed by a blank line. So score equals get word score. We store the score, the word, using the function call get word score into score, and we get the total score and add it to score, or and add score to the total score. And save it as total score. Next, we simply print out their total score and tell them how many points we earned here and give them the information. Next, we update their hand using the update hand function. As it says here, the game is over when they run out of letters. Then at the end of the game, we print their total score. So the next problem 5 and 6 is our implement the playing the game, our first iteration or first implementation of playing the game. Problem number 5 is just discussing pseudocode. And problem number 6 is playing the game. So in playing the game, as it says here, we allow the user to play an arbitrary number of hands. And we ask the user for these details or allow them to exit. So we start here. So first we want to start by initializing the hand variable and setting it equal to none. Then we continuously prompt the user with the while loop so that they can continue playing if they wish or in the game. So first we ask the user for the input in R and E. When we do that by user input equals input, enter in, play a new hand, R to play the last hand, or E to exit. And we make sure that no matter what, if they enter in a lower capital or lowercase letter, we can convert it to a lowercase. So if the user inputs in, we deal them a new random hand. We store that deal hand into hands, and we allow them to play the hand using the play hand function that we defined up above. If the user inputs R here, then we first have to make sure that the previous hand exists. And we do that by checking whether or not the hand is none, the hand variable is stored as none, or if there are populated, or if that form is populated, or variable is populated. After that, or if that's true and and the previous hand exists, then we just play the hand using the play hand function. And if it does not exist, we tell the user that with this and tell them please play a new hand first. If the user enters E, then we exit the game and break the while loop. If the user inputs anything else that is not defined, then it is invalid input, and we tell the user that and tell them to pick a new thing. This was the play game implementation that was included in the starter code that I've commented out because it interfered with the problem 6. So after going through, or it interferes with problem 7, I should say. So after implementing the second part B starter code, we implement time and we implement the functions computer choose word, computer play hands, and yeah, just computer play hand and computer choose word. These are already implemented by the starter code. So that means we can move on to problem 7, playing a game, the re-implementation of it. In this one, we want to re-implement the code so that the computer can now play. As it says here, allows the user to play an arbitrary number of hands. And we also here, if the user types in CRU when prompted, then they can choose either have the computer play the hand or have the user play the hand. So we start. So we start here. This is commented out because it is no longer needed. So we start by initializing hand and setting it equal to none. And much like the previous one, we have the while loop, which asks, or much like the previous implementation, we have a while loop that asks the user for N, R, or E with the user input. Next, if the user inputs E, of course, we break it. And if the user does not input N or R, then it is invalid input, and we make sure to just tell the user that. If the user inputs R, then and the hand is none, as it says here, then we tell the user that they have not played a hand yet and to play a new hand first. So next, we want to ask the user if they want the user or the computer to play. So we store this into player choice variable. And in this variable, we ask the user if they want to enter U or C, depending on whether or not they want to play or they want the computer to play. If the here we of course we have the we check and make sure that the user inputted U or C or and declaring it as an invalid command otherwise. So next we have playing hand. So if the user inputs in, we give them a new hand. And we let if the user entered in U, then we then we call the play hand function and let them play the hand. If the user implemented C, then we let the computer play the hands with the comp play hands function. Next, we have this, which came with a starter code, which just implements the whole play game function. These are the test codes which were given. And I'll start by running the program and playing it. So please enter hand size. I'm going to go with a hand size of 8. So I'm going to deal a new hand. First, I'm going to demonstrate invalid. It won't take invalid input. So new hand. And I'm going to play this first hand. Hand. It, that's all the words I can make. And as you see here, it calculates my total score. So in for a new, so I can do R to replay the next hand, and I can make the computer play this hand. And this code takes a while, so you just have to sit back and wait for it to run. As you see, it used letters quirk to score 90 points. Its current hand is LDW. It's going to not going to be able, it's not going to be able to play anything else from this, so it's going to end the game. I may have to cut, I may have to cut this video short so that I can upload it to YouTube. Well, as you see here, it finished. And I'm going to exit the game. And as you can see here, all the test cases that were given as well are successes. And this concludes the code, and this concludes my assignment submission.